Ready? Joy? Os. Hello to Journey to Black Belt with Charles. This class is a pre-test class. We're getting ready for the test itself, so we're going to go over everything that we need to have in the test. So we want everyone to know, I want him to know, and everyone to know exactly what we need to do throughout the test. So we're going to jump right into this. The very first thing that we do in the test is the student will stand in the attention position in Untitled-Chapter, Ray, go to ready position, and give their name and what level they're testing for. And then you're ready to start the test. It's kind of like the formality to start the test. As soon as you do that, you'll jump into the different things that we have lined up for the test. There's a testing syllabus. There will also be the actual test that he'll be doing after this class sometime when he's prepared. So we have several things for you to look at, and we'll go ahead and get started with that. So the first thing, we would have already introduced ourselves and what level we're going to be working in. The first item on our syllabus is ZENKUTSU-DACHI. And what we're going to do with ZENKUTSU-DACHI is I'll go ahead and demonstrate this for everyone to start with. You want to bow, step into ready position, then announce the technique. And this is ZENKUTSU-DACHI. What we're going to do is we want to see this in a forward view with left and right or left. You could start either way, but you want to go look at both sides here. Then we're going to go to the side. Okay, turning around. And that ends the sequence for ZENKUTSU-DACHI. Okay? And so each element is going to be that way. So like when we have GYAKU-ZUKI, you'll just bow, step into Shizentai stance, ready position, and then just announce GYAKU-ZUKI. And it'll be the same thing. For ZENKUTSU-DACHI, GYAKU-ZUKI, and GYAKU-ZUKI, it'll all be two steps in ZENKUTSU-DACHI performing the technique. So why don't you try the ZENKUTSU-DACHI. Great.
ZENKUTSU-DACHI. A little nervous here.
That's okay.
Being judged on my skills already.
No, we're not judging today. This isn't the actual test. In fact, if we have anything we need to work on today, that's one of the things that we're going to do. Okay, then you turn back to the front and bow and end. Stepping back into Shizentai, which is your natural stance. See, the Japanese are very formal. So if you were doing something in a part of the test, you know, that's what you would do. You would come up before the panel and you would have to bow and go to ready position and then tell them what you're doing. And then once you get completed, it would be very ill-mannered.
Just walk off with your back to them.
Yeah, in the Japanese view, to just walk off and not bow to the panel and then go off the floor.
Maybe a mic drop. Something
yeah,
like
a mic
that.
drop or something like that. So, but that's what that's all about. We want to be formal. You want to be, if you're in anybody's test, you want to make sure you know the formalities of the dojo that you're in. So that's ZENKUTSU-DACHI. One of the things I would like for everybody to do is put your hands on your hips when you do this, when you're in ZENKUTSU-DACHI. Just it helps you to kind of feel your posture, and a little bit with the balance. So other than that, you know, your ZENKUTSU-DACHI was great.
Thank you.
It was good, yeah. So now we would do we would do GYAKU-ZUKI. Okay, so you would
Once again, bow.
yeah, once again bow.
And step out.
Yeah.
to ZENKUTSU-DACHI.
See the ideal here is think about, you've got a panel of black belts up here in front of you, and they've called you on the floor to do this particular exercise. So you know you would come out on the floor and you would bow to the panel and step into your ready position and announce what you're going to do, and then do it.
Okay, great.
Okay, most tests, that's what that's about. So you have to kind of pretend, you know, you got 7 or 8 black belts.
So we're doing GYAKU-ZUKI. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and mark the target.
We're
When
going
I
to mark
step
the
out?
target.
Okay. GYAKU-ZUKI.
Okay, good.
And do we want to step out again?
Yeah, and step back into
To
your way.
ZENKUTSU-DACHI?
Then
Or
usually what the panel
Shizenkai?
do is they'll recognize that you're finished, or they'll ask you something, or they'll, you know, different things. So that's why you go back into the ready position and you wait for them to say whatever. But since we don't have an actual panel here, you know, we're just going from one exercise to another. In fact, you know, it could be some instances that you're doing several techniques in a row, but you want to bow and say what that technique is before you do it. Anyway, so that's kind of what the process is.
All right, when we're filming our tests and sending them into you, of course, you're going to want to see full body all the way through, head to toe.
All the way head to toe. That's a very good point. Sometimes I get videos in where I can only see their knees.
And foot placement is really
Yeah,
important.
and foot placement is important. So if you're doing ZENKUTSU-DACHI, and let's say you're and a lot of people have space constrictions. Okay, yeah, they're shooting video and they don't have this much space. If you have a space constriction and you're doing a stance, you know, make sure that you get the stance in the shot.
So maybe place the camera a little higher than normally.
Yeah, place the camera a little higher, or have somebody that can aim the camera at your feet as you go through the stance, that type of thing. It's always good to have as much full body as you can, and we have to work with space constrictions, and we understand that. You know, so if you do have some problem, you know, some in the levels beyond your first level, we have techniques where we're supposed to go 4 forward and 4 back. Well, it may not be possible to do 4 forward and 4 back in your apartment or wherever you're at. So you do what you can.
Do you have people that maybe shoot outdoors to take these tests?
A lot of people shoot outdoors. They really do, and that's fine. The outdoor test is great. The only thing you want to watch outdoors is where the sun is located, because I've had.
You want it behind the camera, right?
You want it behind the camera if you can, or in an area where the sun is not. You know, the sun may be out, but it's not affecting the shot directly. I've had a few videos sent in where I can't see what's happening for the most part, because the sun is so bright. It's you know, it's blurring. I guess that would be a good way to say it.
The whole frame's blown out.
Yeah, the frame's kind of blown out on it. So you want to watch that. But we understand all those things. I mean, people have to work around a lot of issues in filming sometimes.
What about maybe shooting in a hallway or something like that?
People can shoot in hallways. You have to be a little creative at times. Some people shoot part of their test or nearly all of their test in their living room, because you can do a lot of these techniques in a fairly small space. But when you do your kata, which takes a whole lot more space, people will go outside at that point, and they'll do their kata outside in their backyard or wherever. Most people can figure out how to get it done, and we understand all that, and are forgiving of what you have to do to work within those confined spaces. But yeah, get as much of a full body shot as you can, so we can see everything. A lot of times I can't exactly tell what's going on with somebody when they're punching. Is their stance too narrow this way? They look unbalanced, but I can't see their legs, so I'm guessing, well, they don't have their stance correct, and those type of things.
Great.
Okay. So now let's move on. We've had ZENKUTSU-DACHI, Oizuki, and now we're going to do GYAKU-ZUKI.
GYAKU-ZUKI is our reverse punch, correct?
Mm-hmm. GYAKU-ZUKI's reverse punch.
GYAKU-ZUKI. Now on this, I think initially we did a one off the back foot, and then do our two step turns.
You can do two. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Then we go to the side. So he's setting up, and that's fine. He's setting up for the movement. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So in your first three movements, you're going to be doing these in that manner. It's fine to step out into ZENKUTSU-DACHI like he's doing and get set up and perform that GYAKU-ZUKI, then move through, and then move to the other position. That's fine. So that really concludes the first part of your test. Okay, very simple. All we want to see right now, this is a white belt, you're very beginner. We want to see that you've got the ZENKUTSU-DACHI stance correct. Stances are very, very important. And it's one of the things that a lot of students don't spend near enough time on. We've talked about that before. And I'm looking at that as much as anything else. I don't expect everything to be perfect at this point.
Yeah, those stances take practice. I've been walking through those, and it takes some time to get those, consistent and proper. I'm always checking my feet.
Yeah.
And but I feel more comfortable than I did just a few weeks ago.
Right, and you're doing great for where you're at. You're doing a good job. It's a building process. If I give you too much instruction at once, you'll have so many different things in your mind that it'll be difficult it'd be more difficult to get to where you're trying to go.
Oh yeah.
So it's a tightening process. Everybody needs to think about that. It's like I learned this thing, and I keep working on it.
You're building.
You keep building on it over and over and over. So at first, none of us do our techniques exactly the way they're supposed to be. But over a period of time, you keep working those techniques, and you keep narrowing down on them and becoming more and more proficient at them. And that never stops. It
Yeah,
does.
sometimes I'll notice
it-
feet are not too wide or not too wide. Sometimes stepping out too far, not far enough. Sometimes punching too high, too low. It's just, there's always things to check.
Lots of little mechanics involved in it. So I think we did a good job on those techniques. These next techniques, we have 3 more techniques that we have in this level for this test. The next 3 techniques are going to be done in a static form. And the way we're going to do that is the 3 techniques are CHOKU-ZUKI, which is straight punch, GEDAN BARAI, which is the downward block, and AGI-UKI, which is the upward block, or the upper block. And we're going to do these in a static form. In the next belt level, we'll be moving in ZENKUTSU-DACHI and doing dynamic movement. But for right now, we just want to see those in a static form where we're getting the, we talked about the rotation in our body and how to get the arm at the correct angle. So all those little things, there's actually a whole bunch of little things involved. Even though you're sitting here, in that stationary position, there's lots of little bitty things involved in those techniques. Hip movements and stuff like that, angles of, the angle of the arm here being right over the center of the head, when we're doing the upper block. And the down block is supposed to be over the leg here. You have that little hip movement here in your down block. So we're doing all this static right now, and then you put that with that step.
So it'll be without stepping out. It'll be in Shizentai?
Yeah, it'll be in Shizentai. So it's just like the first part of the test, except you're gonna announce this as static Kihon drill. Okay, so you come up and you bow, go into ready position, and it's static Kihon drill, CHOKU-ZUKI. And what you'll do is you'll announce each component of that as you go through it. And what we're going to have is we're going to have 10 movements. That's 5 on each side for each one. So when I finish with CHOKU-ZUKI, I'll say GEDAN BARAI. Then it'll have just the 10 movements. Then when I get finished with that, I'll say AGI-UKI. And 10. And then when I get finished, just feet together, bow. And then at that point, it's that completes my 9th Kyu white belt exam. And you're done.
Great.
Yeah.
So do we want to demonstrate any more of this, or you think we've done a good job so far?
I think we've done a good job so far.
Okay.
We're going to go back and do this again. I'm going to step back, and you can just go through you'll just go through the exam right quick for us.
Sounds good.
And then the next time you'll see them, it'll be the actual test in the next video.
All right, so we're just going to run through all of those.
Well,
those
we're going
techniques.
to. You want to run through the last part, or you want?
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, this is the static Kihon drill.
Static Kihon, CHOKU-ZUKI. GEDAN BARAI. AGI-UKI. This is my favorite one. kind of lost count there. Was that 5?
That's 10.
Okay, cool. And then we want
Then
bow again?
Yeah, put our feet together, bow. And go back to Shizentai. You say that completes my 9th Kyu white belt exam.
This completes my 9th Kyu white belt exam.
Okay, and that's it.
Great.
So we want to have it fairly simple this time in this first Kyu. Like I said, you don't have to be perfect with everything. I want you to practice and feel confident in what you're doing. But you know, I'm not looking for perfection. I don't want anybody to worry about that. Do the best you can. I do mean that. So people don't get confused just because I'm saying I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for you to do the best you can, really.
Don't worry about the anxiety either, guys. You know, it's a little bit, I guess you could say intimidating. I don't know if I call it intimidating, but just there's a little anxiousness, a little nervousness, knowing, you know, that I'm looking directly into that camera and I'm being expected to perform these things to a certain, you know, skill level. So there is a little bit of nerves along with it, but, you know, just do your best and, you know, put it out there. And I know you guys are going to do a great job, but.
I will, and a lot of people do have anxiety. You know, you have people in the actual dojo that there's a lot of anxiety in that also. I've never had a student fail that tries and keeps going. Sometimes we have to talk about things that we need to correct, and then they go correct them, and everything's all right after that. There's really no such thing as failure. You know, you can have a test and need to correct some things and redo some things, but that's really, in this format, that's the way this system works. You know, we test, we look at your video, and we send you a feedback, a personalized feedback of the things that you need to work on to improve. And sometimes there's a little bit of a loop there. You know, so you may get a notification back from me that you need to do some corrections and send me another video of like a certain part. It's very untypical that somebody has to redo a test completely. Say like CHOKU-ZUKI or GYAKU-ZUKI or whatever. I saw something in that. I'll send you the video on how to correct it. Then you work on it, refilm it, and send it back to me. See, it's a cycle that's the cycle of instruction built up in a video testing system. In a dojo, it would be, I see you, I tell you, you correct. Then I look at it again later on, I see you still not doing it right, or you're doing it right. See, it's the same process. It's just people kind of have a trouble understanding that in their mind, that we're actually doing the same thing here. What's interesting about video testing is you have the ability to rewind.
And look at yourself.
And look at yourself over and over, which is a huge tool. And I encourage everyone to do that. Video yourself and then look at it and you see, now you've already been doing that. Of course, you already see that. You go back and you look at it and you go, I'm doing that? You know, I do that. You know, I'll film a lesson and I go back and look at it and go, what? You know, and then I'll go back and fix it or whatever, because nobody's perfect. And so the video system really has some really good things in it for you. When you think of it that way, when you use the technology and you think of the abilities that you can have with what we're doing. So yeah, test anxiety. The hardest test I ever had was my first test. That was the toughest test out of all my tests because of the fear that I had. I had a lot of fear in my first test. I thought the black belts were going to kill me. You know, but that's not what happened. You know, that's not the way that works. And it's good. That's something else that I've learned over the years is how to control fear. That's all part of this, is learning how to. Fear is a component at times of what we do, but there's an ability that you can develop over time in controlling fear, that it becomes the back seat You can really, you can move it back. And a lot of times your ability to control fear enables you to overcome some near-death things and other things in your life. Fear holds us back, doesn't it? I mean, fear holds you back from lots of things, or can. And I think everybody recognizes that. So that's one of the things you're doing here is you're developing control. Controlling fear, control of the mind, control of the body. It's all about balance and harmony in your life. You have to learn how to control all those aspects in your life in order to bring total balance and harmony. When you eat, see, you're doing it through your weightlifting right now, through your weight training. You're using that control. As you control your diet, you control how you do your exercises. And it's the same thing with this system and everything else in life. All aspects of your life can be enhanced through your learning how to do all these things. Control. You know, control may be I guess that's a way to put it.
Discipline?
Yeah, discipline, focus. Discipline, focus, intent. All those things play in this. If you're fighting somebody that's twice your size and you're in a corner and you can't do anything else but fight, the only way you're going to survive that is to control your fear and to kick in your training, which is all this stuff that you're doing over and over and over is in your muscle memory, that type of thing. So one last thing we're going to do for this class is we're going to go from start to finish on the test right quick. Make mistakes, it's no problem. And that way everyone can follow along and see how the test is done. In the next class you see us in, it'll be the actual test.
Great.
So now I'm just going to let him go through the test.
So would I announce before I bow or once I've
You go ahead and bow. You bow and step into your ready position.
Charles Penoyer. This is my white belt test. 9th Kyu, correct?
Mm-hmm.
ZENKUTSU-DACHI. Oizuki. Are we bowing in between each technique as well? Mm-hmm. Okay. Might have missed that on the last one there.
You'll bow and go into Shizentai and then call the next.
Okay. GYAKU-ZUKI. Static Kihon, CHOKU-ZUKI. Static Kihon, GEDAN BARAI. Static Kihon, Agi-uki. And this concludes my 9th Kyu white belt exam.
Okay, good. Good. Now, if you mess up on something and you just really don't like what you did, just say, I'd like to redo that. Go back and start it again and just redo it.
Right.
And that happens occasionally. I mean, in the stress of the test, you forget where you're at, or just anything can happen. So yeah, I'd like to redo this and do that. So that very good. So how do you feel? Or do you feel like you're
just a little nervous? I feel like I've got a grasp of the techniques, but I definitely don't have them completely committed to muscle memory and mind memory, but
right?
They're there. They're within reach, definitely.
Yeah, and it's kind of that way. It's kind of that way at first. It takes several belt levels. I'll go ahead and tell you, it takes several levels to really get comfortable with everything. I can remember kind of being lost at times, all the way up to blue belt, and then it's kind of like something triggered, something triggered in my mind or whatever, and everything started making a whole lot of sense to me. And some people come in and they get it right away, but I didn't. It took me several belt levels, so that's very normal feeling. He did a great job. Now, for the next class, he's just gonna film his test video.
And I'm sure John will have some feedback for me before that next video that we'll go over maybe some things he saw there that
right.
weren't
And
right.
And we'll have a feedback session that we may put, that we'll put with the test. We could do that.
Okay.
Since this is a short test, we'll have the little feedback behind that. So anyway, good job, and we'll see you at the exam.
All right, I'm ready.
Ready? Joy? Blessings to you all.